much for the introduction. Such amazing panelists with us. A businesswoman, a lawyer, an MD. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much for the introduction. We're going to get right into it. And today's session is for us to discuss and get experiences from our wonderful panelists in terms of how they've been able to network and manage relationships to upscale their businesses or grow their careers. We're going to learn from them, and we're going to take notes, and we're going to get better in terms of our networking. So we'll just go straight into it and hear from them. Let's just say, what is networking? So when we say networking, what is networking to you? And I'll start with you, Mrs. Akinshola.
Okay, so networking for me, even though it's been defined as the process of interacting with someone and building a relationship with them professionally or for social, but I think I would add the fact that networking is something you do intentionally with the hope of having a better outcome from any relationship. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Ibi.
Thank you so much.
I get that pronunciation. Iboye. Mrs. Iboye.
I think, like you said, for me, networking is connecting intentionally with people, so on different strategies, whether it's business, whether it's friendship, just really connecting with people. So for me, the keyword is connection.
Thank you so much. So connection. That seems to be a very, very deep thing here. So I'm going to flip the question a bit for you, sir. What is it networking? So what's networking? What are we going to say? This isn't networking. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So when we've all said connected, so what can we say isn't networking from your own perspective?
Thank you very much. Before I speak on what is the networking, I will just say what networking is from another perspective. I think networking is life. Right? If we go to even our very formation, we are a product of the combination of networking cells. I became networking tissues. I became networking organs. Became networking systems, and became an entity. Okay, so not networking is actually dying.
Please take note. Not networking is actually dying. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, in your experiences, how has networking been a game changer for you? In what way did you think something would happen, and then because of your networks, that changed all of a sudden? And please, as we're speaking, if you have any questions in the audience, please take a note. You can write it down. Someone will come now to pass questions. And you can, if you want someone in particular to answer it, please let us know so that they will answer at the end of this session. Yes, sir. The question is for you, please.
Okay. If you build on what I just said in my introduction, the critical thing to how networking has helped impact my business. First of all, you have to look at yourself and have a perspective to achieve. You have to be as honest and as pragmatic as possible. I hear this all the time. Dress the way you want to be addressed. Okay. So networking is not just meeting people, really. It's the value exchange. Okay. I've met, for everybody here, we've met a lot of people before we came to this space. Right? You said hello to somebody. If there's no value exchange, really, it's just meeting strangers. So what do you have to present to the person to take advantage of what he has to present to you? So critically, building on your character, building on your value system is very primary and significant to meeting people and how they transcend your business or your career to the next level. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. And this also still links with networking is life. If you're living, for you to be networking because you need people to take you to the next level. Mrs. Akinshola.
Okay. I would say that long before Tony wrote this book, I'm not sure many of us realize that networking is a skill that we actually required and needs to be learned. And as I progressed in my career, I didn't even know the importance of networking until I became a partner in the firm. Because I suddenly realized that as a partner, you are literally going to now be added to the bottom line. So which means you're going to need people. I think what helped was I was already, so to speak, maybe a friendly person, but I realized I needed to know more people. So as I progressed, and it's actually been a treasure because some that I professionally network with have become even friends. So along as I grew in my career, I realized it really helped. It helped me move forward. It helped me be more recognized. And of course, it helped the purse, like we say, because the more clients you have, the more benefits for you. So yes, networking has been great. It's improved my career. And I think it's a skill everybody needs to learn. And so Tony has really done us a favor by putting that in the book.
Thank you, Tony. Another commendation. Mrs. Iboye. Mrs. Iboye. As a businesswoman, how have you found networking to help? In what way has networking helped?
I really love this conversation so much. I wanted to just share from my journey into business. So I remember, I think I was 24, 25, I was volunteering. I remember 23, when I was 23, where I did the US, I used to volunteer a lot for different events. And on one occasion, I was volunteering for a particular conference, and I just written my first book. And one of the keynote speaker at the conference was the MD at L'Oreal there. And when he was done giving his speech, he was leaving, and the convener of the conference had allowed me to display my books for sale at the conference. So he was leaving, and he saw a copy of, I saw my books on display and picked up a copy. And then he says, or he asked the person around who wrote this book or who did this book. So the person came to call me. I went to meet him. I was like, oh, he gave me his card and says, come to my office on Monday. Alright, I was already working somewhere, so I take his card rather, and I go for the meeting on Monday. We're 10 minutes into discussion, and then he calls the HR, and that's how for meeting he moved to interview, and that's how I got to role at L'Oreal. Right, that was how I started my journey. I took that ceremony. It was because one, it's not my book, it's not the value. He was working in the book was on beauty basically, and he was working in the beauty industry, beauty company. Like, this is so good. So first thing for me is it's such a personal value which we highlighted. Then moving on from there, I did about 2-3 years in L'Oreal, and they had to shut down operations in Nigeria. And by the time they wanted to do that, I was already married, and they wanted to move me to the Ghana branch. So my husband wasn't having it, so he wasn't going to go to Ghana. So I'm going to Ghana. So I stayed back, and by that time I was already pregnant with my first child. So here I was, no job, no income, pregnant. In fact, I gave birth to my first child, and I was just home doing nothing, changing pampers, backing baby, washing plates, and all of that. And one day I just said to myself, this cannot be what my life is about. Like, coming from, I've been a career person all my life, and then here I was not doing anything. And I remember one incident that just made me have a brain reset, so that I really need to wake up. Because my husband was going out one morning, and I asked him, babe, please, I need money to make my hair. And the way he responded to me, I'm asking for money to make it, that's why you're talking to me like this. But I remember just going back and just saying that, this can be how my life is. And, in that period, someone sent me, a flyer about an interior design course, right? And, at that time, I didn't even have money for it. The course was about 120K then, but I didn't even have money for it, right? So I found out how to ask my husband for money. He paid for the course, and I remember after finishing, like, the course for 6 months, then I did internship. It was one day during the internship, I was supervising the project, and I just took a picture of myself and posted on my Instagram page, just saying something around, I'm now an interior designer. If you need my services, call me. And that very day, I got two of my very first 2 clients, and we were both over $1 million projects. And that was how I started business. And then along the line, by the time I got this client, right, I didn't have the structure yet. But a friend of mine who had been in the industry or in the business 2 years before me, I reached out to her and she literally gave me a list of all her artisans to start my business based on that because she's my friend, so sharing that on, if I didn't have a good relationship with her, there's no way she would have given me all her contacts, all her artisans to start my business, right? And eventually the business started to grow. I just wanted to pick up those two experiences just to see how people have been very significant to growth. So whether it's in corporate or it's in business, you really need people to know that.
Thank you so much. I hope you were listening. Those were a lot. So she said, be a person of value. When you're a person of value, you get people, you're attracted to opportunities. Opportunities are attracted to you. People are looking for you. And then also be friendly. So if she had those friends, when she needed them, she would have been able to take on that job. So, and be ready. When the opportunity comes, be ready for it. So be a person of value, be ready, and be friendly. So I'm going to ask each other, how can we be a person of value? What can we do to be a person of value in this networking journey?
Okay, I think most importantly, it's important that you stay authentic. Just like Tony wrote in her book, people can spot a fake. But if you're authentic, what you'll find out is that you build genuine relationships. And you find out that you have to invest in these relationships. It's a thing of value. You are giving value, you're receiving value. So, for instance, what I've done over the years is, of course, I've made mistakes in the past. So, when you're trying to build this sort of relationships, be mindful of what you do. Just like Tony had written in her book. A few years ago, for instance, when I was still young, I met someone who's very high up there in the banking industry. This was about 11 years ago. And I went to him and I said, because I'd known him, he was actually a neighbor when we were in primary school. And he used to live upstairs, we were living downstairs. And I went to him and I said, oh, good afternoon, sir. I'm so sorry. So, do you remember me? You were actually our neighbor. You used to live upstairs with your wife. I mentioned her name. And instantly, I could see his reaction. He literally froze. He obviously didn't want to be reminded of his past. So I felt, oh gosh, I made a mistake because he went instantly cold. He didn't sort of respond to me. So over the years, I realized, just like Tony said, there are certain conversations or questions you don't ask people. You're meeting someone for the first time in years, don't go and say, were you not living in Ikorodu? Or excuse me, were you not the one I saw in primary? So I realized that wasn't an icebreaker. It's not a conversation starter. So what I've done over the years, and I was telling you earlier, is that when I meet someone, I'm in a gathering, so that I can remember, because Tony said, and please pardon me for every time I refer to Tony's book, because when I kept reading it, it felt like my story as well. And so, I realized that you can be afraid. I'm sure almost everyone is afraid when they're meeting people for the first time. And in my profession, because I'm trying to build my career, get more clientele, so what I've done over the years is join major associations that are within my field. For instance, the Nigerian Bar Association, the International Bar Association, Section of Business Law, Women in Business, XCAN, and things like that. So when I meet someone for the first time, I realize, okay, what are the key things I'm looking for? And what do I need to do? Especially so that I can remember your name. Because over the years, even though I've met people, I see them again and for some reason I can't remember their names. So what I did was develop a strategy to remember. So what I would do is, for instance, I'd meet you for the first time and I'd say, oh wow, what's your name? And then hear your name, I'll pay a compliment. Wow, beautiful name. What part of Nigeria is that from? They'll tell me, and I say, I may say, oh, lovely dress. And then when I hear your name, I go on to say something like, oh, what do your friends call you? What's your nickname? And then I'm hearing boobs or jokey or something like that. And then for me, that sticks, okay? And then we just start that conversation. So I realized, especially if people are in that line of your profession or they align with your thoughts. So there are many ways, once you have that conversation started, the important thing is ensuring that you also follow up with that person. So what I've also done over
Thank
the
you
years,
so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much to learn. So much.
So
Yes, yes.
Yeah. When she was speaking, I remember you said this. Because networking, you can feel it either way. While I was serving, I was this type of person that needed to read things, ensure that things are done properly, things are done in a very nice way. And I am a very friendly person. So at times when I go into that friendly mode, you will never be able to defend because I can go to the limit. So I was part of those who did the singing in the morning. For those who have said before, those anyone who walk out, I'll be the one singing. We are part two. I took part in everything. Right? It was football, it was dancing, it was drama, and like she said, you don't have to be fake, and that's also what Tony wrote about. So I was real. I'll tell you how this played out. Then I got this. I said the Nigerian Gas Company. So those days we used to pick Tuesday Guardian to look at job opportunities. So I saw this interview for, I think it was Coca-Cola aptitude test, and I came all the way to Lagos. That would be the first time coming to Lagos. I came to Lagos to write the test. When I got to Unilab, that was the venue. The guys I served with, the ladies I served with, everybody I served with. I didn't even know I was going to meet people I knew. But because of the things I've done now, because when I was serving in the Nigerian Gas Company, they used to give us lunch and dinner. So I come back home to their company give to us with a lot of food and give to other coppers that didn't have a place to serve. So some of these persons I met them in Lagos, and they're like, oh, somebody talk. When we're done with the test, we all come back again and they said, oh, there's a place in Bagada. Remember, I don't know Lagos. There's a place in Bagada, there's this place called ICSL. I don't know if they are still there. They usually conduct tests for graduates, and if you do well, they collect your credentials and they help you get a job. So this was a Saturday. So he said these tests are organized on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I got there on Tuesday, they were all there. We wrote the test. I passed. All of them I said I must be there, none of them passed. Right? I passed, and that's how I got the job I have, and that's how I grew on the job. So if I was this person that do not appreciate friendship when you meet people, some persons can be very drawn back. So it's just me, I'm living my one. I probably would have met them, or they would have seen me and just one of those faces, and I probably wouldn't have written that test in Bagada, and I wouldn't have been sitting here today. Because that test I wrote paved the way, to who I've become. Yes, God is in the foundation. And that test I wrote paved the way to who I've become today. So the talking is actually like.
Thank you so much. Be useful, be engaged, be involved, and of course be friendly. This is so I want to ask a question. If you need to network and you find that this person, you need to network with the person, you need them for your business, your career, but your values don't align, or you're trying to be friendly and the person is not friendly as well. How do you go about that situation, especially when you still need to have that relationship with the person?
That's a very, very interesting question, right? And it still boils down to being authentic, right? Just because you want to network with someone, you need them for a certain thing in your business, so you need them to approve something that your business requires, and they're not giving you the vibe or the energy that you require, right? I think for me, the first thing is I'll really try to understand why the person is the way they are, because people it's really who they are that shows off in how they do everything else, right? So understand that maybe this person is really not a friendly person, or this person is a very mind my business person, so he doesn't like small talks, doesn't like conversations, just this is what I'm here for, this is what I want, how can I get it right? So that plays a major part. Understanding what kind of person this is, right? And then playing to the tune of that person, especially if it's somebody that I really need. I really need this person. That's one way. I'll just understand the person. Okay, this is what I want. How can you help me do it, right? If that's not working, the second way that me will claim from so to go and sit with the person that made the person. Which is a God factor. Sir, I need this person to sign this contract or approve this, whatever, and it's not coming. And I mean, at the situation, we had a situation like that in my business recently. So we did a project for one of the major banks, right? And this person on the banks, they moved for some reason, didn't just like us. Because we did not come through, the person is the head of procurement, but we didn't come through the procurement. The person that referred us is from the procurement team, right? And so this person, from get-go just wanted to make things really difficult for us, right? And we needed him to sign off on to approve something that we needed to move ahead on the project, and it wasn't coming through. So we fixed the meeting. And I told the day before the meeting, I said, guys, I'm going to take time to pray, and we are going to go for the meeting fasting. So I took time to pray. I was calling the person's name, and I God, this person, I know scripture says he has the heart of kings in his hand. This person is a king in this company. I need you as king of kings to talk to this your king to give us what we need, right? And we went for the meeting. Even though he wasn't smiling with us, it wasn't even, but everything we asked for, he approved. So at that point, I didn't need him to smile with me. I didn't need him to be my friend. I just needed him to do what he needed to do, and he did that. So yes, that's how I would handle that situation.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We will have to take a pause now to take questions, but let us remember the lesson here. So if a king or a kingmaker is not playing ball with you, remember to go to the King of Kings and take that matter to him. Questions from the audience? Q&A. Are there questions, burning questions?
Yeah, so my question is to this picture. She really answered my question, but where she mentioned that if you really admire someone, maybe on Instagram, social media, and you're trying to get the person to notice you, you do everything, liking the person's post, leaving a comment, just making the person know that I'm here, I appreciate you. Let's start from somewhere. And you keep doing and doing and doing, and the person is like, who are you? The person is not even giving you face. And you're seeing this person also liking somebody else that leaving a comment, and you're like, is there something wrong with me? And you're just like, oh, I beg, let me just fashion. One day you go to get there. Do you understand? So she already answered the question. Like you go to Baba God.
But beyond that,
So I wanted to say, before going to Baba God, is it okay to just ignore the person?
So I have a good example. There's my assistant presently. We met off Instagram. So she will like my post, she'll comment. I just know that this person always comments, this person always liking my post. But beyond that, I noticed that for like 2 events where I spoke at, I saw her at the event. She came to the event and then she'll come and meet me. This person is always commenting my post. Then one particular event I had was on a Sunday, it was very early. I was preaching at the church very early, their first service, 7 a.m. And I got there and she was sitting in front. And that literally almost blew my mind. So after the service, I asked her, that where you coming from? The church was in somewhere like that, and she was coming all the way from last week. So that means she left her house very early. So no, I'm like, okay, why are you following me like this? There must be something. So I had invited her over to a meeting the next day at the office. And by the time she came, she already had, she had come prepared. She came giving me like a presentation on how she can help my life how she can simplify my life. And at that time, that was what I needed. Yes, I had another assistant, but I needed someone who understood me and could, could carry on things without me, like could just be proactive without me, having to micromanage and say this and this and this and this. And she had that, and she has been with me for over a year now. Because yes, started from commenting, liking, then she started following me in real life. Then she brought when I finally gave her the audience for a meeting, she brought value. Right? So it's beyond just saying that like this, you like the comment, you are not. What value are you bringing? What value are you giving the person? Yeah.
If I may just add to that, if it's professionally, what I would advise and what I've done is when you invest, you can. When I say invest in a relationship, so you can decide to take the person out for lunch or dinner. So I've done that a few times. Or for instance, I've stopped over at a friend's, someone I was trying to poach literally. She seemed very quiet when we first met. I collected her card. I kept in touch. And then one day I was having a meeting in Ikoyi, very close to our office. So I said I'm going to branch, but before I branched, I branched a government twist and bought her a pack of 6 banana breads. And then I took it in, and when she saw it, she was so happy. Immediately it sort of transformed the relationship because now we're on a high range level when we're chatting, to the point where I've invited her for a book lunch and she came and even came with 2 family members. So yes, you can take them out for lunch or dinner or even invite them for other events like a book lunch today. You can invite them. So professionally, sometimes that also helps.
Have you ever felt fear or imposter syndrome when you meet people that you want to be associated with, you want to network with, but then there is just something which I'm just not supposed to do this. How am I supposed to do this person? Have you ever been in such situations and how did you come to it?
Yes, not once, not twice. For some of us here, we grew up in Lagos, right? So you may not understand what it means for somebody to grow up outside Lagos, and to grow up in a system where you're probably not given an opportunity. As a young child, you were already walking the streets and went to primary schools with your classmates, talking issues. Went through secondary schools where uniforms are tattered. Teachers don't come to school and stuff like that. And you find your way through it. And here you are in Lagos. And you're blown beyond the things you see, the people you meet. So, of course, if that is your background, which was my background, the fear will come. But I had a boss who I watched closely. I realized that no matter the situation, she has somebody to call. Whether it's custom, whether it's banking, whether it's wherever, there's somebody to call and the problem is sorted. So one of these days in the office, she usually worked very late. So I stayed back late that day and she was, hey, what are you still doing? You done with you? I said, I want you to see you. I want to see you. And she said, okay. So I asked her, I said, how do you do it? How come you know everybody? How come you know everybody? And then she smiled and she sat me down and started teaching me some of the things you wrote in your book, about being real, about values, and most importantly, she taught me self-confidence. So when she said, these persons you see, they're just like you. Okay. To get to meet them, you need to start understanding what people like, what people don't like. You have to be vast. So if it's a man, men will usually like sports. What kind of sports will a man like? So if you are in that place, you have an opportunity to have a one-on-one with a person. What's the first conversation line you have to strike? If it's a woman, what are the things that women like? In which of the sector does the person belong? And if you're real, you will be noticed. You'll be like a star because you will see easily that, okay, let me digress slightly. May he so rest in peace, the late former governor of Ondo State. When he was going to run for office, I had a friend who were classmates in Lagos Business School who was also running for governorship in Ondo State. He didn't make it through the primaries, so I was a member of his think tank. And so the late governor wanted to collapse the structure into his. I have the sentiment for People's Democratic Party, but these guys are in All Progressive Congress. So when we were in their inner caucus meeting, this is what they told me. I wasn't there. He said, if you need somebody that will tell you you're stupid, really you, if you look closely, that's true. Is this guy. So we need this guy that will come in here, just like the story of the Bible where Israel wanted to go to war and Ahab called for the prophets. The prophets lied to Ahab, for those of us that are Christians. But he didn't know the lie. But somebody insisted that there must be, let's hear from somebody else. And another prophet came and said, if you go to that war, you're going to die, blah, blah, blah. So they describe me as that other prophet, that if he tells you A is A. And he got interested. And that's how I was incorporated into a 9-month think tank. Okay, so being real is very important. And that also opened me to knowing. So at that point, I realized that when I got into that meeting, I realized that it is at the base level, you see parties. At the top, they are all the same. So, because I met everybody, I met people at the top who were in different parties. They were working together for one common goal. So, being real is very important. What do people know you for? Okay, so in that fear, to address the question of fear, self-confidence is very important. Knowing how to strike the conversation. When you have built the confidence, it's easy knowing what they like, how to strike the conversation. I went to a customer's place when I was doing marketing those days, and I saw Fidelity Bank. Sorry, I'm mentioning calling names of the bank. I saw two other banks. You know, those who will do marketing, you see like 4 cars of different banks at 10 coming to try market the same customer. So I came as a freelancer. These were all banks. They had left. I was the last to come in, and the customer looked at me. I would start checking. Then he said something about Big Brother Nigeria. I don't truly watch Big Brother Nigeria, but because I know that I'll be on the feed all the time to talk to people. So I just make sure that I ask questions and I get a summary of what has happened. So I gave a summary, and it was like, oh wow, I'm going to give you money. Those other bankers, they don't know anything. They came here and they were it's just money. I asked them about Big Brother. That was the second edition of Big Brother also. They didn't know anything. He brought out his checkbook. In those days, you can write 100 million check. And he wrote the check. And that was it. So I came from a finance company and I took a customer that banks could not get. So self-confidence and knowing how to strike that conversation is
Thank you so much. We have to end the session now, but before we do, just one sentence from Mrs. Akishola and Mrs. Boyo. What do you want the audience to take away from here? Just one sentence in terms of networking. What do you think is very important to take away from here?
So I was going to talk about a question, which basically I was going to say from Toyin's chapter 6, which she talked about networking effectively, and I noticed the first page she wrote was free. So I was alarmed. I said, I thought I was the only one that used to do that. But prayer is key. Prayer is key when you're approaching people. When you're attending a conference, a party, with the mindset of networking for your particular purpose. Because prayer will give you discernment, will give you wisdom, will give you knowledge about who to approach.
Thank you so much. Prayer is key. This is great.
I think for me, it's to be that honor is very important. Honoring people, at the core of, you're not really at the core of networking, you're not just trying to use people. So whenever people maybe connect you to a business, they'll give you a contract. I for one, I've had different people who have referred clients to my business, and after we're done with the project, I actually intentionally take a gift to the person who referred. right? So it's very important.
Thank you so much. So learn from Mr. Obiawe that we should also connect with them, know what they like, know their hobbies, pray and honor. I think this is a good place to end today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really learned a lot. Thank you.